We are online. President Haskey.
Present.
Ms. Aspis.
Ms. Aspis?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yes.
Did you hear that, Jared? Good, we got you.
Mr. Stoll. Mr. Montoya. And myself. We have quorum. We'll begin this meeting and hope it doesn't last too long. First on the agenda, Mesa Elementary School and Career Prep High School 90-day plan by Ms. Jones and Mr. Peniagua. Which one of you is going first?
Good evening, board members, Mr. Carlson. And we are here to report our fall 90-day plan, and I'm going to be sharing this plan with you and my CSI team. We're each going to take a piece as they worked really hard in creating this, and I want to give them a little bit of kudos for their input. So we're gonna start off with Miss Glendora Guillen on the focus area layer 1 instruction for ELA.
Good morning, board members. Mr. Carlson, we've really been working on our tier 1, our layer 1 instruction for ELA. If you look at the graph we're working on the implementation and use of HQIM, trying to pull all that together by grade level teachers as needed for our structured literacy learning. Our resources needed, well, actually, our professional development on HQIM as needed. We have global PD going on so that we're not pulled out as much and leaving the classroom. So it's something that is new for us, and we're getting adjusted to it, and it has a lot of great information for us. Our lesson plan, unit plans, and plan book, and our Schoolology support. Plan book is new for us. We got to dabble with it last quarter at the end of the year, and a lot of us are getting trained. We just had training, so it has really helped us to get more organized in our planning for our tier 1, our small groups, and our interventions. Going on is our being prepared for our bi-monthly OFCCs with our structured literacy coach, Pat Essig and Miss Gina Jones. We're collecting a lot of data, our qualitative and quantitative data, our consultants with international design, our CR/EC coach, feedback forms, and a time schedule for OFCC's lesson plans. That's been it gets adjusted on a day-to-day basis just because of all the things that happen in the school setting. Our next critical action is our PLC collaboration, our data analysis work is completed bi-weekly for our layer 1 instruction. So it's a lot of planning with our colleagues. We have a PLC schedule, our agendas, which are visible to anybody who needs to go in and see our information. And it's a lot of work, but we're plugging along and getting this done. We have active teacher participation in the Level Up program as part of our structured literacy work. Our Level Up materials are in, and we're getting our training and PD on the program. Let's see, the last one is that 100% of our teachers will actively participate in our family literacy night events. This is part of our community outreach, and we have a really talented coach, Pat Essig, who is sharing a lot of information and plans that she wants to help us carry through. And the last portion is our indicator dates, the end of this month, the end of October to the end of the school year, is that we're going to put in 30 minutes twice a week for classroom walkthroughs and lesson plans. Let's see, 30 minutes 3 times a week as measured by classroom walkthroughs. It's a lot of it, you know, is on Gina, and she tries to make time for us. But with the school setting and everything that goes on, we understand. But a lot of the feedback that she has for us really just helps us to become better teachers.
So I also want you to remember that we applied for a structured literacy grant that we received. We were the one of 2 schools in San Juan County that received that. So we do have Miss Patricia Essig, who is our literacy coach from the CREC. And so along with that came the $25,000 that we have to use for structured literacy support and building structured literacy in our building. The next focus area that we have is math. We did a lot of work last year with math, hence our growth that we had in mathematics last year. So we are not going to do a lot of changing with what we're doing because it seemed to work. And so we're going to continue on with the implementation of our HQIM, our number talks. Several teachers did mention that they think that the part of the success was because of math and number talks that we initiated last school year in our building, getting students to communicate their ideas and kind of the inquiry into math. So we're going to continue with that. Of course, our non-evaluative classroom walkthroughs. One other thing that we're doing is our instructional rounds. So during PLC, they choose 1 a quarter and they make prior plans with another teacher because we don't know what we don't know. And so how do we know the lower grades? The lower grades seem to be with one another a lot, but the upper grades don't get to see what the lower grades are doing. So those instructional rounds are really important for fidelity and consistency in our building. Once again, we have PLC collaboration and data analysis. We do have Rachel Nance coming in to support us. She will be in, I believe, on September 22nd to continue data meeting PLCs with the team. And other resources as indicated there using our global PD teams. We also will have Empower as a consultant coming back in as well to help with strategies. We also have the Dana Center who is helping us with conceptual, procedural, and application of math, because as we know, many elementary teachers are not math teachers. So in order to support our teacher development and that pedagogy, we are bringing in the Dana Center from the University of Texas, Austin, to support us in teacher development of the foundations of math. And how does those things work together so that we can be the best we can for our students. We are also building daily math fluency with the use of the Empower kits that we were just given, and then the knowledge that we did get from the Dana Center as evidenced in our lesson plans, and that application of the learning is super important. That was one thing that in our SIT review was indicated that a lot of PD, but it didn't seem like it was actually being applied. So that is one thing that we are doing differently this year, and actually applying what we learned as we learn it immediately within the lesson plans and within our PLCs. And then we will also have integrated math nights where we can give out materials and books and games and manipulatives and teach families this new math, because we had a lot of families that say they can't do the math. And so we want to support our families and helping them with supporting their students in math literacy. The next we have, no, she's here. Ms. Joe,
But
do you want
before
to
you
support this one? Okay. Miss,
Before-
yes.
Before you proceed, I had a question for the young lady that preceded you.
Uh-huh.
She said you're collecting a lot of data, but either I missed it or she didn't say what data it was that she was gathering, or that you were gathering, or what.
Sure. Thanks for that question. With the use of our iMesa and our Mesa, we've been able to filter out our data and create our data by using the categories. That is something that we haven't done before. When we filter, we can click all of the different categories in our iMesa so we can know which categories are lower performing. And so we're utilizing that to help build our goals in the classroom. We're also using still our iStation goals that sometimes the categories kind of match up to each other. We're also utilizing student data in the classroom and having students monitor their own data and creating classroom data charts. And something that we're doing that was recommended by the PED is not just seeing how many students are moving along the path, but which students are moving. So we're translating numbers into actually humans. So if we say 24% of our students made growth, well, how many exactly is that? And so we've created a tracker to kind of help with that. And so that's what I think she was meaning as far as the amount of data that we're tracking.
And does that, can you filter out of that individual students?
Yes, we can disaggregate by student groups, demographics, any kind of multiple measures, boys versus girls, free and reduced lunch, anything like that. We can filter that out.
My concern isn't so much gender, but individuals, so that they can be focused on, particularly to assist them in areas that perhaps they are deficient in.
Yes, so we target those by using our priority reports, and we group them based on, so if Steve, Marion, and Gary are all deficient in one area, we can pull them in for small group assessment, and that's where we use our centers. That's where we do use workshop model in our building, and so they can target that for their layer tier or tier 2 interventions. And then if, Marion is still struggling, then we can do that layer 3 intervention as well with them. So we are looking at the data to see if, if more than 10-20% of our classroom is deficient in this, we're going to do a reteach, right? And so that's what we're looking at with that data.
Okay, my concern is not only how advanced is the class and how they're moving forward, because I know they are in Mesa, but sometimes we tend to overlook the individual that may be struggling for whatever reason, and that was my concern.
Yeah, and so with our new tracking, it is going to be up in our conference room. And so each grade level, when you do iStation, at the first iStation, you become part of a cohort. Are you in level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? And what we're going to do this year is they're going to stay in that cohort. So if they're in level 1 when they start at the beginning of the year, their backing is going to be red, and then they're going to have an icon on it depending on the teacher. So as each month, as we're moving and we're tracking the student data, if we have somebody that's in red that makes it all over to the green side in level 3 or 4, we're going to say, wait, what happened? Awesome. Now let's have that conversation as a grade level. On the other hand, if we have somebody who's in a green and they've moved backwards into yellow or red, once again, what has happened? And let's have a conversation about exactly what has happened. So we're tracking the individual students as far and as the whole grade level.
I remember myself, of course, this is way back when and before the flood, but when I went into school, and there were 4 grades in a classroom, and the older students, because there was only one teacher for 4 grades, the older students then assisted me in bringing me along. I know that's not the way things are set up today, but in the individual classes, do you have students that can mentor those who perhaps need extra?
Yeah, so we do have peer mentors, but we want to be careful that we're not taking away from their instructional time either, right? So
Right.
there's a delicate balance between having a peer, having a buddy that you can work with, and then having a go-to. So, you know, the three before me. So if you're having a problem, let's talk to your buddy. And then, well, if they can't help you, let's find somebody else, and then find somebody else before you can come. So that's not always the case, but we do use peer helpers. But we just want to be careful that we're not tasking them with too much, and it's not their responsibility to be the educator.
True.
So there is a balance there for sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
May I?
Yes.
I know superintendent knows where I'm coming from when I make this comment about peer-to-peer work in that classroom. That's some of the most powerful when you're able to do that. And I don't think it's a matter of becoming, in my opinion, too reliant upon those other students to do that. But it also at the same time reinforces their knowledge, which brings me to one of the questions that I've had in regards to solidifying that newly gained knowledge. What are you doing, or how are you differentiating in that classroom to get that kind of growth when you're talking about level 1, 2, and 3, but the long-term growth that these kids need? And I questioned that in the last meeting of the drop-off of some of the scores, or even to the point of challenging students that are moving ahead of the class. Again, to me, the importance of differentiation in that classroom is paramount for a lot of these kids, especially those that are on the upper end of that grade, whether it's third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, that come in with that knowledge and are moving quickly. Again, so the first question is, what are you doing to solidify that? And then 2, what are you doing to maintain the challenge to the students in those classrooms that are advancing? Are they being tested out, or is it just a matter of the teacher saying, well, that's not my responsibility? And I say that because I know of people who have actually said that. And to me, that's a disservice to the child.
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of training on MLSS and our different layers. One thing that we're using to solidify is our gradual release, and we are using daily practice on those foundational skills. So our number talks have been really a big proponent in our building to help with, it's a constant daily action that we use. Let's just do like a subitizing activity or a dots activity, and it's just very quick. It's within 10 minutes of every day, so it's routine, 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 routine. We have to get them to think about math routines, and that's really important. And so that is helping to solidify some of those, the knowledge that they're gaining, because it's being done every single day. As far as the differentiation goes for those that may need challenge work, we do have some students that are at that point. And so what we have to do is we have to think about, when we look at our vertical alignment, are they ready to get that information from, let's say, 4th grade, they're at 4th grade, but yet they can look at a 5th grade standard, and maybe those standards from 4th and 5th grade are similar, it's just scaffolded up. So are they ready for that scaffolding, and can our teachers do that? And so the answer is yes, we can do that. And then going the other way, if it's at a 4th grade and we did whole group at 4th grade, can we scaffold down to hit that third grade standard? And the answer is yes, we can do that through our centers. So we do a lot of our differentiation through our workshop model or centers.
Excuse me, the other question I have in regards to that is, and I had this conversation with the chair of the LESC last week about how ill-prepared a lot of students are coming into the building, especially in language development or the lack thereof, and that having to occur in the building rather than a 50-50 relationship between the educational institutions and the parents and the families developing that language. Because you may or may not know, I actually went through that first booklet of letters, went through the whole thing, and there was only one concept I grasped out of that was, to me, that was useful for me, was the term closet children. These kids are coming to school, not being spoken to, and don't have a developed use of language. So how much of an impediment is that to you and your staff, especially in the lower grades, in having to do that, which, depending on the level that they come in on, they can be 2-3 years behind in their language development. So it has to be established coming into the educational institution, and puts a lot more stress upon the educational institution and the teachers to do that.
Yeah, that is where our ELP, which is also one of our focus areas, comes in, and our speaking, reading, writing, and listening. I don't know if you looked at the data, but at Mesa, we had the school that exited the highest number of ELL students. We had 9% exit out of ELL. And so that is also on there on our 90-day plan, is vocabulary development. And so, and not just throwing words up on the wall, but making them interactive. So it has to be student made, because the student takes ownership for those words. The other thing we are really doing, and Ms. Guillen mentioned, is our intentional lesson planning. Because if we don't, if we plan to fail, we fail to plan. And so we have to be intentional with that, and that's when we look at the number talks and our centers and our direct instruction and our guided practice for everything. So I feel confident that we are meeting the needs of our students with the different layers that we're doing and the different types of learning that we're doing at Mesa. And we continue to look forward to more growth every quarter, because we take those benchmarkers coming up at the middle of the year, but we do have our monthly benchmarks for our iStation and our Amira. So that's the great thing about our 90-day plan, right? We look at it, what's working, what isn't, and then we change it.
I appreciate that you said quarter and not year, because that's telling me you're truly making that effort to have that growth consistently and throughout the process, which obviously that 90-day plan is important. But one of the other things to me that I do not like in education is fidelity to the core. I understand teach to the standards, I get that, but again, to me, the most important word is differentiation, and giving that latitude to that human being in that classroom that has that knowledge to be able to teach that, but ensuring that they understand how to do that as well. And that would certainly fall upon you and the superintendent and the assistant superintendent to ensure that the educators that you have in your building understand that, and,
Yes,
and how to use it as well. So thank you.
Yes. All right. We're going to go ahead and move to layer, the next focus layer on science, and Miss Danielle Jim will present that.
Okay, hello, I'm Miss Jim. So I'm gonna cover the science focus for our 90-day plan. And we basically have the STEM scopes that we're utilizing. We know that an adoption year is coming up, but we're gonna utilize continuously with that curriculum, HQIM. And also, it does allow 5 E's that Ms. Jones has provided PD for us as a staff. So we want to go with what we know, build on that of what we know, and then use that for our students' learning and for our teachers to continue to do well with science teachings. So we have implementation, consistency use of the HQIM that I just spoke of from all teams. So it's a vertical alignment across at Mesa, starting from kinder on up to 6th grade. And then we have our bi-weekly observations that Mrs. Jones would be coming through to do for our teachers and lesson plans in a timely manner. And again, our lesson plans, as she said, are to be structured so that we are planning with intent. And honestly, a lot of our curriculum, HQIM, our content areas do have a lot of reading in there. So we want to make sure that we do focus on the 4 domains of ELL components: reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and hopefully providing those in our lesson planning, because that is the intent of our ELP, which will be coming up here soon. Word walls and vocabulary notebooks are also being utilized with science, and teachers are having the word walls placed in their classrooms, and those word walls are to be active. So an example might be students know they come in from transition from maybe one class to another, or they're already in their classroom setup and are transitioning to science. Well, this is just an example. Students will start to go through their vocab words to where they are spelling the word, they are pronouncing the word, and then from there, it might be a quick stand up, go tag a partner and see if that partner can give you one of the science vocab study words back to you, maybe in a timed manner. And then from there, you can also explore with games that our resource person, Miss Pat Akis, has provided for us with strategy tools. So you might have the students play a game, quick game, of where they have to guess what the word is. So they can throw clues to yes and no questions and see if they can identify that word. So that's the active part of the word walls. And using that as much as possible on a daily basis is important in the science concept, because as seeing the science format, it's a lot of reading and a lot of vocabulary, and it is strenuous and challenging for our students. Also continuing to use the notebooks to study for definitions. They can make drawings to help them to learn those words. And then instructional rounds, as Ms. Jones stated, we can try our best to get to our colleagues' classrooms when the time is there, and then we can see how each other are approaching the STEM scopes perspective of teaching, also looking at how we're all utilizing our differentiation tools to meet our students' needs, because one classroom is not going to be the same as another classroom. And it just comes down to routines and expectations that the teacher has had practiced in that setting, so the students are able to get on to learning with their instruction. We are utilizing observations, as Mrs. Jones noted, and trying to tier our work with our students in the science perspective. Any questions?
I have none. Are there any questions from the board?
This is actually probably to both. So after looking at the 90-day plan and some of the data that has been presented, one of the things that did come to mind is that the Mesa Elementary has at least a 25% chronic absenteeism rate. So as a part of that, is improving or addressing chronic absenteeism, is that also part of the 90-day plan? Because it seems like a lot of these different pieces are tied in together.
It actually is in the next section in the ELP section, where we are going to address that.
And of course, going back to some of the data that was highlighted in some of the reports, it showed that the district has a lot of challenges, at least with 3rd grade, 4th grade, even 5th grade. So with that said, how effective of a pre-K program do we have, or is it existing at Mesa Elementary that would give us an idea about the quality of the type of program?
Did you say pre-K?
Yes, pre-K.
Okay, I'm going to have Ms. Hayes talk.
Is there a pre-K program at?
There is a 4Y program and a 3Y program. We saw some amazing results this year, so I can let Ms. Hayes, who's our kindergarten teacher, answer that question.
Sorry, they're smaller than me. Hello, board members, Mr. Carlson. My name is Teddy Anna Hayes, and I am a kindergarten teacher at Mesa Elementary. To answer your question, Mr. So, our pre-K program at Mesa Elementary, last year to this year, we've seen a lot of gains and a lot of growth with our incoming kindergartners. So they took the beginning of year Amira I-Station for reading and then math. And we've seen a huge growth compared to previous years with their school readiness in terms of listening comprehension, speaking skills, letter knowledge, and vocabulary for the reading section of it. And math, their number sense, geometry skills, we've seen a large growth as compared to previous years. So I would say our pre-K program at Mesa is really important to how we start off our lessons for kindergarten. And going back to Board Member Montoya's question about language readiness when they come into the classroom, that pre-K program really helps our students and gets them ready for the workload that we do in kindergarten. So just the speaking skills, the readiness and ability with vocabulary, to use new vocabulary, it's really been helpful with our overall how we started the year for kindergarten. And compared to previous years with working to prep our students with their classroom routines, expectations, behavior-wise, language-wise, so we can start to do academic lessons. We always had what we always call is a late start into the semester and the quarter. And this year we only had to do a late start of a week, a week and a half. So we started lessons right off with our kindergartners for math and reading. So, yeah. So we were ready for instruction with our kindergartners based off of the work that the pre-K program put in. So did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. So how many students are in the pre-K program?
So our pre-K program, we had 20 students in the 4Y program who were able to attend. And we have one teacher for the 4Y program at Mesa and one teacher for the 3Y. And they capped the class at, I believe it's 20, Ms. Jones, 20 students per classroom, and we had one classroom. So 20 students split between our two kindergarten classrooms this year.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, because I was actually looking at the Amira report, and everyone's all lumped, thrown into the same pot. I was hoping to see almost like a school-by-school breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did all the board members get all that information that I asked for?
I sent it to all of them, yes.
Okay, you should have the disaggregated information for each school,
Okay.
because I had asked for that because I didn't see that either. And so I was wanting to see the breakdown.
Yeah, by school, because the report that's in board docs has all the schools together.
Oh.
Okay, check that.
I appreciate the fact that you said you only had to spend 1 week and then you started to get into the actual.
Yes, the school readiness in terms of classroom expectations, routines within the room, how we sit, how we move about the classroom, small things, restrooms and everything, those were prepped in pre-K. So it really lightened and shortened our load for the beginning of year routines with our students.
Okay, because I've always believed when you start talking about educational philosophies of behaviorism, and kids and families understanding that that's why you're there.
Yes.
They have to be conditioned to that behavior. And the more readily we can do it, the better off they will be, quite frankly.
Exactly.
To learn. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And anything else? No? Yes?
Are there any further questions?
I think one of the questions that actually ties into one of the other reports is, at this point in time, is Mesa Elementary fully staffed with teachers in every classroom? Are there any long-term subs that are teaching?
We have one long-term sub in our special education high needs classroom, as that teacher took the assistant principal job at TBA at the beginning of the year. So we are still teacher for that one, but other than that, we are fully staffed.
Excellent, thank you, that's good to hear.
I do have a question for Ms. Jones.
Go ahead.
You talked about your PLCs. How often do you have them a week?
We have them on Tuesdays and Thursdays,
For how long?
50 minutes.
So basically an hour and a half, almost 2 hours of, how do you deal with the, are they set up for during those special times?
They are. They are set up during their special times. We have monthly data meetings, so every 2 weeks on a Tuesday, we have our data meetings. And then other than those two data meetings, they are planning PLCs.
Okay, so with the data that that we are presented for the beginning of year, obviously those are being incorporated into your PLCs and how you can make those adjustments to get some movement and gains and growth, correct?
Yes.
Okay, anything specific that you can state that, let's say for the numbers in math for fourth grade, give me an example of one of the considerations, if you would, please.
So as which data point would you, just any data point?
Hold on, yes, because I have
Okay.
it here in front of me. Make sure I'm on the math. We've got reading, language, math. So for the grade 5, you only have 7 that are in the green on target, and then 41% near target, and the 52 that needs support.
Yes.
So what would be one of the considerations as far as instruction, obviously going through tier levels 1, 2, and 3, addressing that movement and getting more closer to the near target?
I'm going to be honest with you. We had some issues with consistency and delivering instruction last year in fourth grade. Not every teacher, and we found that we had some gaps, definitely, and that was pretty evident at the end of our NMSSA data. And so we have rectified that, and so we are now making sure we departmentalized our 5th grade and our 6th grade, meaning we have one teacher that teaches the math and science and one teacher that teaches the ELA and social studies. So they're getting the consistent teacher for math. And so with that intentional planning and the consistency with
A lot of elementary teachers are not math teachers, and the superintendent has stated that quite clearly and often that does exist. So to help support that,
I'm sure that would help support that. Unfortunately, in my building, we are already getting that support being a CSI school. We have Empower coming in once a month to help us with that, or twice a month actually, to help us with that, with looking at strategies and going into and working individually with our teachers on strategies to create better success for our student outcome. So I feel like we already have a math coach because Ms. Gurr is coming in to support us with that. So I think it would be more beneficial for the other schools at this time, just because we are already getting that. And I don't want to be greedy, but it would be kind of confusing too with what we've already implemented to have one more person in our building to do that at this time, right? We're hoping to get out of CSI status this year, so this would be our last year. That's the goal. So in the future, we would like to look at that, but we feel like what we have in place is sufficient for our needs and with what we've been given with the CSI budget.
Again, I appreciate that as well too, because obviously, as you know, you may have heard me say this is a business in the sense of we're in competition with everybody else around us. And if anybody doesn't believe me, they missed that big old sign that Farmington had in the middle of Kirtland to try to get our kids to go to school there. And so what are we doing? Because the one thing we can do to keep the students here, or at least what we have in our control, is the quality of education that we provide, not just to the students, but to the families to keep them here. Yeah, there's a lot of economic issues that are tied directly to that and directly affect that. But for what we can control in the buildings, what are we gonna do to improve that education? And that's where the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and all the principals have to ensure that the educators in these buildings are doing everything they can to redirect that quality of education for these kids, because that's the one thing we have in our control.
We have to build up our teachers, and we have to let them be the professionals that they are. If they're in need of something, we provide that for them. And I feel like, just gonna say, for me, I feel like we have done that at Mesa. And I hope that I am building up each one of these teachers and building their efficacy, because we know that's the #1 effect on students. So to bring somebody else in after we have a lot of support in coming into Mesa, just because of our situation with our literacy and our CSI. So I would hate to take and monopolize that math coach if they could go to another school that is not getting that support. I would see that would be very unfair of us to do that when we are getting all the additional support through our CSI funds.
Well, again, I appreciate that response as well too, because those are the things that matter. And something you had said, I've been trumpeting it for the longest time since I've been on this board, about entrusting the independent school districts. They know best. The teachers, the principals and the teachers in the buildings know these students better than the people in Santa Fe. So I do entrust what you all do. And trust me, I defend that. I did that last week. So again, the expectation certainly is there, because I know these kids can learn just like anybody else, not just in this county, but in this state and in this country. They're just as capable.
And one thing that I'm working, personally with is greater accountability, and all of my teachers here and whoever's watching knows that we're trying to up our level of accountability. And so that is on me. And that is something that Mr. Deswood is working with me as well too. And so I told them, be careful what they wish for. But if we're gonna move our students forward to a future yet to be imagined, we gotta step it up. And so that's where we are with that, so.
Success builds success, very good, thank you.
We're gonna just do the last ELP and then we will conclude.
Okay, so the last focus area of our 90-day plan is our Layer 1 instruction and interventions, with the focus in our ELP, which is English Language Proficiency. Excuse me. So our desired outcome for our ELP focus area within the 90-day plan is that 100% of our teachers will apply instructional strategies to teach academic vocabulary, discourse structures, complex sentence patterns, and interactive word walls. So this is across all of our content areas of EL reading, math, science, and social studies. So to do this, we are continuing with our implementation of our 6-step vocabulary with student artifacts or resources. So those can be student notebooks, binders, and it's student created. Student created, it's the students can interact with it. The next is teachers will create classroom interactive word walls for all content areas with current vocabulary that's indicated within the teacher's lesson plans. So again, intentional planning using our instructional resources across all grade levels and classrooms to build those word walls, to make them relevant to, excuse me, what our students are learning at the time. So the current material, and really drilling down to also get that at their level of understanding where they can use that within the lesson, during the day, and during the day. The third part of our 90-day plan, the third critical action is teachers engaging and actively participating in instructional rounds. We felt that as a leadership and CSI team, that this would help with the differentiation within our instruction. So kindergarten teachers, for example, we would go into and observe fifth grade teachers, other grade levels, to see how they're doing their vocabulary word walls, best practices, and that would help us to hit those higher students who are more advanced. And on the other side of it, upper grade level teachers who might come down to the lower grades to just observe classroom practices with instruction, word walls, and would be able to pull some of those practices, strategies for students who might be struggling with the instructional strategies at their grade level. So that's how we're targeting our differentiated instruction with that area as well, instructional rounds. And then last, the attendance portion. I know that was asked earlier. So 100% of teachers will utilize Capturing Kids' Hearts. That's a program that we are using at Mesa Elementary to provide support with attendance for our students. So that really, Capturing Kids' Hearts helps to establish positive social interactions from student to teacher, teacher to student, teacher to teacher, and then students to students. So it really helps to promote that social, emotional health for our students, positive interactions around the building, and within the school environment.
With that said, with your chronic absenteeism, has Mesa been able to dig down deeper about the causes behind that? Or have you been able to block off which categories are causing that?
So that's a Mrs. Jones question.
We have about 7 students who are on the chronic absent list right now through our attendance data. We have already started on the different layers of intervention, and I've already gone through 4 different layers with some of them, at least half of them, and have had like Project Safety Net already help. CPS has already been called. Desert View Counseling's already been done. We've met with parents. We've tried home visit with the liaisons and with Miss Rachel Brown. So we are striving to work with those particular 7 families. It hasn't been easy, and we've had a lot of roadblocks and barriers with those 7, for sure. We thought that there was a bit of a communication difference with our families, so that's why we've really increased our communication. Our teachers are our first layer of communication, so we have them where they're, in some cases, daily emails, phone calls. I've done daily emails and phone calls as well. And just putting a face, it's not just a number, but it's a face, and what are their barriers and what can we do? Do they need support through Project Safety Net? Do they need laundry soap to wash their clothes because they don't have clean clothes to come to school? And trying to really get social work involved and counseling visits involved. So those are some of the things we've already done just this year to kind of bring that number down. We have particular, one student who's already in the critical stage, so we're trying to really work with that family to try to do that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think, is that it? Okay, that's all that we have. We have our 4 layers. I stand for questions if you have any.
Are there any other questions from the board?
I'm good. Yeah, I just want to comment just really quick that just seeing the kind of changes and improvements in data, for Mesa Elementary is huge. I mean, just seeing the work, the outcomes that we've seen as a board, the district, just, it shows that good things are happening tonight. I think we all hope that your teachers, your staff, your team, parents, everyone continue to do the hard work that's necessary to help make Mesa Elementary a good school, great school.
We've had a lot of great additions with the sixth grade coming down, and we've had a lot of sixth grade teachers or teachers from TBA that have moved down. We had 3, and I would say that I think we have a strong, really strong staff this year, and everybody that I can think of is moving in the positive direction and really engaged with making Mesa the best we can for our students, because how many families did we have yesterday? We had over 100 families that came over just to get food and the potatoes and corn and flour and blue cornmeal, because we're providing that services and we're helping with their needs. So when we can get down to their needs, then they feel comfortable, bringing their kids here. So I think those small steps is part of the change that we're making at Mesa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. Superintendent Carlson. Thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you and present our 90-day plan.
Yeah, we're on item 1, the second presentation. Sorry.
So,
Oh, hold on.
okay. All right, so, sorry, Mr. Wells, did you have? Okay. Putting this plan together was quite a daunting task, so I do have a lot of thanks to give. Mr. Deswood and Ms. Roxanne Lee, the CNI team, really kind of got us together and put us on the right track. I have teachers who came in over the summer who were willing to work on this. Ms. Clover Williams, Ms. Erica John, Mr. Alfonso, Rodolfo Alfonso, Eric Chandler, and Mr. Young. So it really was a team effort. And then we also had a lot of guidance from the PED. The lady who was our reviewer for this put in a lot of effort with us. And so having that whole team effort, I think we put together a pretty decent plan. We focused on, each 30 days we're going to do a little sliver of improvement, build on that little sliver of improvement, start making our momentum that way. I would also like to recognize a member of the audience, Mr. Don Stryker. He's one of our wonderful math teachers. He is a part of our leadership team. He didn't have much direct influence on this, other than bouncing ideas off of me when I'd go to him and say, hey, what about this, what about that? And so he did have his influence, and some of his fingerprints are on here as well. So with our 90-day plan for our MRI school, we have 5 areas that we have to focus on: ELA, math, science, graduation rates, and then English language proficiency. And so what we wanted to do with ours, kind of as a team, is take our desired outcomes and have a thread going through each one of those subjects in each one of our 30 days here in the first semester, and then line those up with our progress indicators. And so for ELA, we really wanted to focus on SAT and kind of improving our SAT scores. That's one of those indicators of how healthy, I should say, is your ELA program. And so as we were going through this, we wanted to make our annual plan a nice improvement on the SAT scores. And so when we look at our 90-day plan here for the fall, we really focused on that, kind of being intentional about including SAT style questions, providing those to the students at least once a week. And so if we look down at our progress indicators, we can kind of see our progress towards that desired outcome. What does that actually look like? And so through walkthrough data, we're going to see here in the first 30 days, and that's going to end next week, that we have at least one SAT style item a week. Next 30 days, we're looking at, okay, well, now we're going to increase that a little bit. We're going to get students familiar with the SAT typed question. What does it look like? That way when they get to the test, they're not freaked out about the test. They know what they're reading. They know what it looks like. and we take some of that test anxiety away from those students. Two style, SAT style items a week. And by the last 30 days, of this 90-day plan, we're looking at, again, more of those SAT styles in every lesson that the ELA teachers are presenting. So I had conversations with ELA teachers yesterday and actually this morning as well about how they're doing that and some of the progress they're making towards that. And it looks like we're well on our way towards that. In math, we wanted to focus, again, increasing our math scores on the SAT. That one's always a tough one to do, but I have two really strong, dynamic math teachers. And in fact, I was in their classes yesterday. Lots of student engagement, lots of talk from the students. And if you know anything about our student population, it's tough to get some of our students to speak, and these guys were getting it done. And so big kudos to our guys for kind of getting in there, digging in, starting doing the work, and expecting behaviors from our students that kind of align up with our 90-day plans as well, and holding our students to that expectation in a nice, respectful manner. And so we focused a lot with them with formative assessments and kind of lining up our formative assessments with our standards, making sure that we're kind of all in alignment right there. We're going to get some PD work on that as well. We have some PD lined up for all of our staff when it comes to some of these formative assessments and instructions and lining those up. And kind of what did that look like towards the end of progress indicators we're looking at, and they've already done this one. By next week, we're going to have at least one baseline formative assessment aligned to the key standards. The next 30 days, we're going to up that, at least two standards done by the 2 weeks. And then, of course, that last progress indicator, hopefully we're going to meet that desired outcome. So they're using a lot of really good techniques that we're trying to get the kids involved in. And like I said, my walkthrough data yesterday and just my walkthroughs in general for those math teachers show that there's a lot of work that they're doing, trying to get this all squared away for us. Science, when we came up with the science goal, we kind of went back to our root cause analysis. And one of the sets of data that we looked at were teacher perceptions of students. And we got down to the idea that students didn't see the value of education. Well, why didn't they see the value of education? They can't tie it to the real world. And so we're trying to figure out, okay, how can we tie this, what they're learning in our schools, to the real world so they see that value of education, so they maybe are more intrinsically motivated to pick up a little bit more of the study, to get more involved in class. So with science, what we wanted to do was more hands-on stuff. Science lends itself well to that. So we have two science teachers. One of them has a whole bunch of fun little gadgets and gizmos that he uses to chart state-of-the-art stuff that they were able to buy last year. Our other science teacher is new to the building, and we didn't have a whole lot for that teacher. And so with our grant, we were able to get it okayed that we can buy a bunch of STEM kits that she can use for biology, that she can use for her other science class as well. So the students aren't just sitting there, working on these problems kind of theoretically. They're actually looking at it hands-on. What does it look like in the real world? And when we get those other STEM kits in, we're going to have a really dynamic science department as well, kind of along the lines of what we're seeing with our math department. One of the big things that we get graded on, of course, the reason why we're in MRI status is our graduation rate. And so how are we going to get our graduation rate up? And so that falls on our SIT team. So that's me and the counselor. We loop in a couple of the teachers as well. And so we've already done this. Mr. Chandler and I worked on getting together a spreadsheet. We have all of our students listed by cohort. Not necessarily, and we have them listed by the class that they're in, but the cohort, because we're trying to graduate them within the 4-year cohort, that helps out with our graduation rate. So we got them all lined up on our spreadsheet, have their credits right there next to them, who is on track to graduate, who needs a little help this year to possibly graduate, and what are some of the students, or who are the students that need a little bit more intervention. And so starting to track that and starting to track their attendance and their grades, and doing this on a weekly basis, what we could do is pull those students in, have conversations with them, And that's where we're starting at. And some of our teachers have started having conversations with students who are on that list, and just having that conversation about, hey, here's where you're at, here's where your credits are, and here's what you need to do to graduate, kind of opened up some of the students' eyes, like, oh, I'm that close to graduation, or I only have to do these classes right here and then I can graduate. That had a profound effect on students. So just making that little connection with the students, having that open conversation with them, and showing them the plan, showing them, kind of mapping it out towards, towards the end, and letting them say, yeah, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and this isn't just a place you have to sit here until we tell you don't have to sit here anymore, and we walk you across the stage and hand you a piece of paper, but get you involved in actually getting you to that destination. And so we got our rosters verified with our seniors. We're reviewing them. And so now what we're going to start shifting into this second 30 days is putting together support plans that are documented. Okay, looks like we're having a little trouble in math. Looks like we're having a little trouble here, and putting some support plans together for those seniors. We're not only focusing on seniors, we're focusing on our H3s as well. So those who should be graduating next year, and starting to get those ones lined up. And of course, our sophomores, we're going to loop them in. This year we had 3 true freshmen come to our school. And so we're trying to change the narrative a little bit, that this would be a school that you could come to as a first choice, not necessarily a last chance. And so one of the students who came to us from the junior high is really flourishing quite well. And just talking with the students, I like the small classes, I like the campus, I like the class load. We have 4 classes, we're on that block schedule. It's something that they can handle, it's chunks that they can digest quite easily. And so we're starting to see success at that freshman level, and so far all of our freshmen are on track. And hopefully if we can keep them going and monitor them as well, then we get them through in the time required. So I have a lot of hope for those youngsters. It's a lot of fun having them on campus as well. And then we have our English language proficiency. So this is a whole school effort. And so we looked at the data that showed that one of the areas our students are really not too strong in just yet is speaking. And so trying to get students to speak and have that opportunity to speak in classes, not just sit there and get the information, but engage with the information and engage with the teachers in a meaningful way. And going off some of the guidance from Mr. Carlson about having think, pair, share, turn and talk, all that, we just wrote that into the 90-day plan, saying, all right, let's provide at least 3 opportunities a day for these students to do that. And like I said, when I went through my walkthroughs yesterday, I saw a lot of that going on for our classrooms. And so we're scaffolding those Tier 1 ELD practices in each one of these 90-day, or each one of these 30 days that we've mapped out. As we start coming to the end of the semester, of course, we're always going to be tracking this data that we're collecting. We're going to be tracking the students and their progress on making their marks as far as the credits that they're getting. If there's anything that we need to change, anything that we need to pivot on, if something's working not so well, we have that flexibility with these 90-day plans to make those changes. So we lined up also, I didn't have it here with us, but our budget. We have a big budget for our school. So I had to encumber $209,000 to support this plan right here. So we put a lot of that into PD, to buying, of course, those STEM kits, to after-school programs to help not only with credit recovery, but I have teachers coming up and asking about, can we have enrichment programs? In fact, Mr. Stryker and I have been talking about, or he's been bringing to my attention, student interest in model rocketry and applying some of those mathematical concepts and science concepts that they can actually build rockets and shoot them off. And so things like that. And these are some of the student-based interest and student-generated interest in applying these concepts. So putting money aside for that, and when we see that need, we have that there to support the students. We're able to buy a couple devices that might help with some iPads. So if there's programs that the science teachers are using, or maybe English teachers are using, that students can get on these devices and help learn, then we've got those devices as well. So we got quite a long ways to go. We have our challenges, and we're taking a good look at where we're at and where we're going, and trying to adjust accordingly. You know, sometimes it's just a game time decision on how we're going to attack a situation or handle a certain situation. So in a nutshell, I'm not as organized, I guess, as Ms. Jones. She has always a hard act to follow. But with that, I stand for any questions that you guys might have.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Paniaga, how many students do you actually deal with?
So we currently have 118 students.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we do have we have them on a waiting list only because we're so far into our semester that they didn't have a lot of the background instruction to be successful. So we're gonna get them in at the end of the first quarter. And so we have some students who are gonna be joining us in October.
How many?
So far, I think we have 3. And there was one that came in early enough. We were able to get him on one of our VLN programs. So he's coming to school. He's on the VLN program now, doing some credit recovery with an English class. And then at the quarter, we're gonna jump him or get him into some in-person classes. So total, that would be 4.
And what grade level?
So he
be at?
is a sophomore, and then I have, I think, a junior and 2 seniors.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from the board? Make it quick.
So you talked about some of the challenges. What are you doing either before school, during lunch, or after school for tutoring for those that are challenged mathematically?
Right, very good. So before school, people are coming at different times. Teachers always have their doors open if students want to go in there. At lunchtime, there is a group of students who do go into one of our science classes to get some extra help. And it's kind of a needs-based. We use it more of a tutoring rather than a structured class. And so kind of a come and go thing if you need help. And that teachers actually opened it up also to math, if you need help with math or anything like that. All of our teachers are willing to open the door at certain times during the day when the kids want to come in. I've found that we have a very motivated staff wanting to help the students, getting behind our 90-day plan, wanting to get that momentum forward so we can see a lot more success. We also have our LSA who twice a week opens up our weight room during the lunch period. And so students who need that kind of release, you need that kind of reset halfway, because they're sitting at 2 big long classes and they're doing a lot of stuff in there, but sometimes you need that mental break. And so our LSA is getting into the game as well and pitching in by opening up and monitoring our weight room during lunchtime twice a week, so we can provide that support for the students as well. And
they've been pretty responsive? Students?
Yes. Yeah, okay. And we've had students come up and say, hey, Gary, can you open it up today, like on a Friday? And Gary's like, he's not going to say no unless something big's going on. So yeah, he's all about helping the students as well.
One of the other things you had mentioned was the hands-on, getting them involved with more hands-on. I'm a very big proponent of, or big supporter of place-based education. Mm-hmm. And I know you have a very good resource through Mr. Chi, especially when you tie it to the culture.
Oh, absolutely.
And yes. Understanding the history, the culture, the language into part of that education and learning about everything around them. Again, I'm a firm believer that the individual, the child, the student needs to learn about who they are first before you start getting into that expansive progressive education.
Right.
True progressive education, the meaning of progressive education for that child, and then they can correlate that and have context to history or economics or agriculture around them first before they could start learning outside of them. So
absolutely.
Again, like I said, I'm a very big supporter of that.
Yeah, and Mr. Chi's doing a project right now where he's actually incorporating the double helix of a DNA, and students are turning it into artwork, and their influences, the strands of the DNA represent various influences in their life and mother and father's side. So Navajo philosophy with modern science, and like you said, getting them grounded in themselves and understanding where they're coming from, and then building on that. So yeah, if you ever stop by the school,
Oh, absolutely.
he's got that artwork displayed out there.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Anything else from the board?
Yeah, just really quick, so,
I have a que-
oh, go ahead. Yeah, I'll let her go.
Oh,
Go ahead, Ms. Haskell.
okay, I just had a really good question, that, there's so much intervention in both the MRI and the CSI school. Have the schools, and I heard that, the Mesa, no, the previous presentation, Mesa Elementary, that they're hoping to get off the CSI status next year. Does the program taper off? You know, there's a lot of interventions that are in place right now. And then how does that work? I mean, there's a lot of focus on all these different areas to improve the school so they could go off of an MRI status. And then what is the taper off type of plan in place? Because sometimes once the interventions aren't in place anymore, or the need to, then you fall back, you regress. So I just wanted to know what was the plan, or is there plans already in place for that too, once the statuses are removed? Thank you.
May I answer that, Mr. Wells?
Go ahead.
Thanks for the question. I think that's part of the comment that we make to the public education department is once a school gets off CSI status, the funding stops. We were lucky this past year for our other 4 CSI schools, TBA, Nijoni, KMS, and who am I missing, Gina? No. Shiprock High School. They were lucky that they ended up carrying over 100% of their funds to use it this year, but that was because there was so much other funding like ESSER's from the previous couple of years and Title I. So that's the criticism we have with a school in designation, is that additional investment from the public education department, like Brian said, to over $200,000, that helps a school, right? To invest in these interventions, these programs, sometimes staff. But the funding does stop because once you get off status, you've essentially achieved a traditional status. But what happens though is they have to put all these interventions in place because Brian and Gina have multiple areas, multiple data that they have to show growth and be accountable for. Once they're not on CSI status, they just have ELA, math, and then culture. High schools just have graduation rate. So that's kind of some differences, but no, the funding will stop. Thank you.
This is Gina Jones. Let me add to that.
Thank you.
We're trying to make sustainable change, right? And so when we get off status, notice I said when we get off status, that change is sustainable because you can't just throw money at the problem. It has to be sustainable change. So with implementing what we did last year, and you saw the growth from last year, and having it again this year, and just changing, I'm a science teacher. You change one variable at a time. So by changing one variable and seeing that change over and over and over, we would have had 2 years of sustainable change. That's going to carry us. So it's not going to be change anymore. It's just the way it is. This is how we do business at Mesa. This is how you'll do business at Career Prep. So I don't think throwing the money is going to make that big of a difference in my case, because I'm trying to build sustainable practices with my school. Does that help, President Haskell? Thank you.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Did you have something else?
No, not on that point.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'm just jumping a little bit ahead, but one of the areas of concern, of course, is attendance rate, which I think also ties into like student achievement. So what is career prep, because career prep doing to address that?
So yeah, for attendance rate, and that's one of those things that we dug down to is one of our root causes in our root cause analysis. That was part of that question of why are students not coming here? They don't see that value of education, therefore they're not coming here. So within our circle of influence that we have, making it a place that they want to be, again, with those hands-on projects and kind of attracting those students in there. Tracking the students who are chronically absent, that's we have our attendance secretary already on that. And so making calls home, what's going on. I had a student I had to pull in the other day and just kind of, because the student was over 18, you can't just call home to call the student, and kind of having conversations about what's keeping you from school and what can we do to get you here, to get you to that final place where you're going to actually graduate. So it's a lot of kind of grit and sticking to it and making those phone calls and making those connections. But again, just making it a good place to be, serving multiple populations that we do, and kind of making it attractive for all those students. We hope we can attract them more than we can repel them. I hope we're not repelling anybody, though.
Mm-hmm. So if the students are not seeing the value of education in that regard, how much of like career technical education does career prep offer to, let's say, I mean, if the student's not going to go to college, are they exploring other like options for different pathways to see that this education they receive it could lead into other areas besides just college?
Right, yes, and so we are trying to make those pathways a little bit more aligned with the CTE pathways that were developed last year as well. Making renewed partnerships with Bond Wilson. One of the plans that I had was, going into perhaps a mid-school with the plan. Here's what your 4-year plan would look like, and if you're interested in going into a trade, here's some of the things we offer at Bond Wilson, so you can get your core work done here at Career Prep, and then we'll start tethering in some of the Bond Wilson stuff. And so trying to offer that. As far as right now, we just have those conversations with students. Not everybody's cut out to go to college, particularly fine. Here's some of your pathways that you can go into, and options into the students. So until we can make a little bit better plans and actually start offering some of those CTE pathways to our students, in the meantime, we'll just bring in those outside resources and say, hey, here's what you can do with the education that you're getting. Here's some of the places that you could go with it as far as the trades are concerned.
Good.
Ms. Haskey, do you have a question, a comment?
No, I don't have any other questions, but I'm glad to hear that the change is sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aspas. Thank you, Mr. Paniagua.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just again want to comment, as with Mesa, I hope that we continue to see a lot of the progress and improvements that help make Career Prep a really good school for our community, because it does affect a lot of people in our community, and hopefully improving the quality of our schools all around will help build up our communities again.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're there to service some of those populations that don't otherwise thrive in a traditional school. We hope to continue to do that.
All right. Thank you.
Moving on to B, attendance update by Philemon. Can you pronounce that last name for me?
Philemon Badbaden.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Philemon.
Board President Haskey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Yes, I can.
Board President Haskey, Board Vice President Wells, Board Secretary So, Board Member Montoya, Board Member Aspas, Superintendent Carlson, Good evening. I am tasked to report to you our attendance report beginning August 6th till September 4th. Next slide, please. This is the overall attendance comparison of the middle schools, high schools, and the elementary schools. I'll start with Kerr Prep High School. Attendance rate 78.3%. Eva B. Stokely 92.1%. Jude Nelson Elementary 92.2%. Kirtland Central High School 94%. Kirtland L 93.3%. Kirtland Med 93.3%. Mesa 92.6%. Nas Chiri 93.3%. Newcomb L 94.6%. Newcomb High School 88.5%. Nijoni 93.2%. Newcomb Med 91.7%. Oho Elementary 91.4%. Shiprock High School 92.1%. TBA 90.92%. Our overall attendance for the district is 92.2%. Next slide, please. So as you can see, this is for the elementary.
The comparison last year.
For elementary, we have an overall attendance rate of 92.7%. Next slide, please.
I think there's a correction on the graph. It says 88.225.
That would be for
The district average?
the high school.
Yes.
It's for the high school. Yeah, I will put that in for the next slide. Okay, for the middle school, the average attendance rate is 92.4%. Next slide, please. And for this is for the high school. The average is 88.225. I apologize for the error here. So this is for the high school. So as we can see, Carver Prep has a 78.3. Kirtland Central has 94. Newcomb High is 88.5. High school is 92.1. Overall, for the high schools, it's 88.225. Let's go with the next slide, please. Now, this is our district overall chronic absenteeism comparison. As you can see, all the schools here. So for Kerr Prep High School, chronic absenteeism is 28.5%. Eva B is 17.5%. Jude Nelson is 25.1%. Kirtland Central High School is 18%. Kirtland L is 16.9%. Kirtland Med is 19.4%. Mesa Elementary is 25%. Nas City is 17%. Newcomb L is 14.8%. Newcomb High School is 22.6%. Nijoni is 18.6%. 16.8% for Newcomb Middle School. Oho is 18.8%. Shiprock High School is 18.4%. TBA is 19.1%. Our district has an overall absenteeism of 20%. Next slide, please. This is our elementary schools absenteeism rate with an overall rate of 19.8 for all our elementary schools. That's 98.8% chronic absenteeism. Next slide, please. For our middle schools, we have 18.9% overall chronic absenteeism. And last slide, please. For our high school, chronic absenteeism is 20.8%. And that ends my report. Any questions? We stand for questions. Thank you.
Just going back to the high school data, I'm a little bit puzzled by that number 88.225, because if you calculate the largest population is Kirtland Central High School, Shiprock High School, that should put us up in at least the 90s, because the other schools like Career Prep and Newcomb High School, their in size, or the population is a lot smaller. So I'm just wondering, does that number need to be revisited or looked at again? Because it just seems a little bit, the 88.225 just seems a little bit low, or out of the ordinary compared to the population size.
Sure, yeah. So I double checked it a while ago. So what I did was add all this 4 and divide them by 4. It gives 88.225. But just like what you have said for the 94 for Kirtland Central High School and Shiprock High School, 94 and 92, I'll go over and take a look at this.
One of the other areas of concern that I'm actually a little bit surprised by, and I did point it out to Board Member Wells, is that the chronic absenteeism rate at Judy Nelson is 25.5%. Can I ask what are some of the major causes, at least with Judy Nelson, because that's a little bit that's concerning. And I think some of the other schools that did come up, they did explain what was going on. So I'm not sure if you have if there's an explanation about what's going on with Judy Nelson.
I can answer that. So very similar to the other 2 schools, students not coming to school. So chronic absenteeism is essentially a student missing 3/4 of a day. So definitely something that we need to look at. Very similar, they are also using the liaisons and getting into going through their layers of intervention to provide support for those kids. All schools are currently writing attendance improvement plans, which are due by the 40th day. So those are also, each school has to write plans to what they're going to do to improve their chronic absentee rates. So they have plans that are going to be in motion.
Okay. I was also wondering if you have any comparisons of this data to let's say the state absenteeism rate versus what our numbers are. That way we kind of get, to me it's good to know how we stand compared to the state and probably even within the county.
So last year as a district, our chronic absentee rate for the entire year was 23.7. So I don't know what it is for the other districts.
Okay.
But we can look into it. But I know I've seen a state number, and actually, can I do a search really quick? Let me get that number for you.
Can I add to that, Peter?
Yes.
Yeah, so Secretary, so if you are asking about our current comparison with the state and other schools within the county, so those attendance rates are calculated and posted after the end of the year. So we cannot get any exact numbers for the current school year.
Because I think what would be helpful, especially when we can communicate with, even just looking internally, is are we seeing improvements in terms of trying to bring down those numbers or improving those numbers across the district? That's kind of the big picture as far as what we're doing internally and how we're showing progress or improvement, or even areas of that are in need of improvement. And I also double checked the numbers on the attendance rate comparison. It looks like the methodology is you just took the 78, added them all together, divided by 4, which gave us the 88.225. But then the approach actually should have been like, the data should be weighted by student unit across, because right now it's off. Because just the simple add up the schools, divide by 4, the data, the calculation to me is not accurate.
Yeah, I would agree with you too. Just because there's almost, what is it, 700 and 400, that's almost 1,000 kids at Kirtland and Shiprock, and only 400 at Newcomb, and, well, 300 at Career Prep and Newcomb High.
We'll
Right.
we'll have the department redo it and send you that.
Question on this, so that I understand. How many students, first of all, are at Judy Nelson, you know?
450 or 60.
And we have at Judy Nelson 25.1% chronic absenteeism.
439, so that's essentially what it's saying, yes. So that 25% of, or a quarter of the students are considered chronically absent right now, which is almost 110 kids.
Yeah, that's concerning. That's a lot of kids.
That's correct. So I don't know if you remember us presenting a couple, maybe a month ago, about grants that we were writing. So one of the grants we were writing is for attendance liaisons and a district attendance coordinator, which the PED had a $600,000 grant for 3 years, so $1.8 million. So that's why we wrote that grant, because when we talk with principals, what we have is we don't have enough people like in the community or within the school to go out and connect with the families. So if you look at our attendance grant, that's the whole focus, was we need more boots on the ground. So we need staff going in and checking in. I mean, like we just said, that's 110 families, and we only have 2 liaisons. That's why we said a liaison in Kirtland, attendance liaison in Shiprock, and 1 down south, so that principals can reach out to this, and their whole focus will be on going and reaching out to. If you think about it, 20% of our students district-wide out of 4,200, that's about 840 kids that are considered chronically absent. But if you think about it though, if we were to compare it to last year at 23.7, where we've come down some because there's such a focus on attendance. One of the things that we say is, if we don't track it, we can't do anything about it. So the saying is, what gets tracked gets done. So that's why there's such a big focus. And you know, when the principals were presenting, I don't know if they made this very clear, but each of the 90-day plans, there are 6 data options that they have to track. Every one of them has to track student attendance. So it's embedded within their 90-day plans. That's why the data department runs this data for us, so that the principals, and we send this to the principals so that they can track it, so they know where they're at. And I know Jared sent a post out on our social media platforms, because that number is down. So, you know, another saying that we say is, what gets celebrated gets duplicated. So when we celebrate the successes and communicate that to the community, then they're like, oh, hey, we're doing good. But that's where we're trying to track this data.
Okay, I have a question for your liaison, I guess. What are they finding out there that's causing 20?
Steve, I have a question.
Okay, I believe Mr. Wells is in the middle of one, so you hold on just a second.
What are we
10-4.
finding that's causing 25% of our student population to be chronically absent?
Right, so one of the things, if you heard the principals who presented their 90-day plans, one of them is having engaging lessons, right? One of the things that when these 90-day plans are done and whenever we write the attendance improvement plans, we can't blame it on the families, right? Yeah, there is some part for them, but what we have to go with is what was within our control. What can we control within these four walls to get students to come to school? And the number one, if you do the root cause analysis on that, is highly engaging lessons, right? That's why Mr. Carlson, one of the focus areas for the district is to cold calling, right? High expectations. And if you look at our data, our panorama data that we presented last month, like, sense of belonging. We have schools that are really using that panorama data to really engage so that, remember, we're tracking, we're seeing where the kids are. If they don't feel welcome at the school, they're not going to come, right? If they don't feel safe at school, they're not going to come. So that's the data that we're looking at. So that panorama data is another layer of data that we're using. And that's actually an indicator in 90-day plans. That's called perception data, student, parent, teacher perception data, right? So that's what we're using to make sure that our kids, those numbers are improving as well. And when we presented last year, we saw small increments, right? But if kids are coming to school, keep in mind, a couple of years ago, our chronic absentee rate was in the 36, 37%. So we've been doing good things. As those kids are coming to school, our test scores are going up as well. So they say that those are directly, directly proportional. So that's what's going on. Kids coming, right? Emphasizing, come to school, come to school. In fact, in that attendance grant we're talking about, like we have a whole plan. I think Jared was at $25,000 or $30,000 to do like promotions and do like advertising. Because part of it is many of our families don't know that whether they're in school or not, it's still counted as chronically absent, because if they're not in school, they're not receiving instruction. So, and it's the threshold is 10% or more days school missed. So if we have 180 school days, that means a kid, no matter if they go for sports or activities, it's considered chronically absent. So a student can only miss 18 days or less in a school year. Okay, now remember I had mentioned earlier, I said a student has to come to school for 3/4 of a day. So if a kid at Shiprock High was to go and play sports and they leave at like 6th and 7th hour, they've been in school for 3/4 of the day. So then that wouldn't be considered chronically absent. Now if they go on a trip for a whole day, then that would be considered chronically absent. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do as a district to educate our families that, hey, when you do go, right, make sure you plan accordingly, because if this number does count against us. Thank you.
You mind if I add something real quick to that? So when we're talking about chronically absent, the question was made, why are some of these absences happening? I think everybody needs to kind of keep in mind, especially this early stage. So chronically absent, if it's 18 days out of 180 days, we're looking at proportional. So we're talking about 20 days of school-ish. So if they miss 3 days of school, they're chronically absent, which means every single one of our kids that you saw at the last board meeting is chronically absent, because those kids were all in the fair and they all missed 3 or more days. Now those kids probably aren't going to miss 18 days. That's probably the majority of the days that they're going to miss. So it can be a little bit misleading sometimes.
Okay, does this include homeschool?
It does not. These are specifically our students. We do not track the data on the Open Bible Baptist over here. So even homeschool students, these are not counted in here. Even actually, I think if Dream Jeanette was under us, their data would be under us, but we don't, we're
Well,
not their charter anymore.
how do you track somebody that starts out and then they decide they don't want to go, so they're home taught? How does that correlate, or does it?
It can possibly. I mean, those are things that we can look into.
I was just curious because I know of kids that started out and then decided I don't like my teacher, or nobody likes me, or whatever, and so.
So if a kid was to transfer into our district, that won't, let's say they come in at the third quarter, and like Mr. Carlson said, it would be 10% of those remaining school days. So if there's 180 minus 45, 135. So that would be 18% or 10% of those 135 days, which then it would be adjusted to 13 and a half school days.
I guess I have to look at the comparisons throughout more than just first quarter.
Yeah, it'll probably be a better indicator at the end of the first quarter, because like Mr. Carlson said, it's only been 20 days, but when we compare it to the 23.7 from the entire school year last year, that's a pretty big. Right, and here, let me just go back for the state of New Mexico for the last couple of years. In 23-24 school year, it was 29.8, right? 22-23, 39.2, 21-22, 40.7, 2018, and this one's pre-pandemic, it looks like 2018-19, it was 17.9. But that's why the public education department is putting a lot of money, because kids that during the pandemic, they just like, oh, we're just gonna stay home. You have a virtual learning option, right? We still have families ask us that. Can we work virtually, right? But that's where, if you look at comparison to us to the state, then we're right there or below the average.
Okay, thank you.
That's good.
Vice President Welsh, I'm sorry. Board Member Aspis had a question a few minutes ago. Hopefully she's able to ask that now.
Go ahead.
Board Member Aspis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, with this attendance issue, I believe Des would hit on that word, panoramic view. I think the overall view, there's so many factors to find that is, and a lot of it is bullying, a lot of it is whether hardship at home, and also what I witnessed last week. I believe there's a lack of compassion and lack of common sense, and I believe last year there was a student that was told that they were out of school by a principal, and yet they allowed that student to miss I think it was up in the 20s, and so I don't think there's accurate data being kept on them, and then when there is, then it's all of a sudden it's outrageous numbers like that, and then in this case the parent had doctor's excuses.
Anything else?
So in essence, I really lack confidence in that whole whoever's driving principals, and I just really lack confidence from what I've seen, and it really needs to be reviewed by the board.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I also wanted just based on the data, I'm actually quite impressed with, surprisingly, Newcomb Elementary. They have the highest attendance rates and also the lowest chronic absenteeism rates in the districts, which to me, that tells me that school has something going for them. And you would think that even though that school is way, way out there, they would have more challenges than any of these other schools. So I'm just curious what they have in place that's working that probably could be replicated across the district, or what's going on at that school. I was also impressed by their test scores with Newcomb from this past cycle.
That is correct.
I mean, this data alone it tells me there's something really happening at that school.
I would think that would reflect family support.
A combination of all of them. I mean, if we look at Panorama data as well, their scores were, a bit higher than other schools. So that Panorama, is an indicator. And keep in mind, it's one data point, right? Mm-hmm. There's multiple data points, but these are the ones that the school and the PED provides free software for, and then so that we take advantage of it. Yeah.
The Panorama survey will be returning in October, and then we will take it again in the spring.
Ms. Haskey, do you have something to add or question? Okay, then.
I do have a comment.
Mr. Montoya?
It's kind of touching back on what Mr. Padiago said and what's been said here before about the district, to the school, and through the classrooms. Environments have to be created that these kids want to be here. If the child wants to be here, then hopefully they come from an environment where the parent is going to support that to ensure that they are there. Now that's taken into account their own family circumstances and what inhibits them from the home, but still doing what we can as an institution, again, as a district, as a school, as a classroom, to ensure that those kids want to be there every single day. So hopefully when we take these things into consideration, that's the totality of that is looked at. Thank you.
Anything else?
Again, I just want to say thank you to our administration for providing this report to the board. I think it's important for us to at least get these reports monthly. That way we're at least getting a snapshot or just tracking this, because attendance is really important. That's actually one of the areas that I think has a big impact on student achievement. So I just want to say thank you. And I mean, the big reason about why is it's really just showing that we're keeping on top of progress, academics, and so forth, to see that we're making gains across the district, and hopefully we'll continue to see a lot of stuff happen. Thank you.
Piggyback off that, Mr. Sir.
Comment?
Go ahead. Ms. Aspas, go ahead.
Do I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, again, I think a lot of it is there's a lack of compassion and a lack of common sense. We get into these little meetings and put the parents on the spot, the student on the spot, and then, oops, made a mistake, sorry, and then there's bad feelings. And it just leads to unhealthy, unfriendly environment for the student and the parents. So if we can avoid things like that and do our research before blaming or whatever, then I think our district would look a lot more invitable. And it feels like the more we keep saying that we want to grow our student count and attract, the more I see we're pushing them away. And at some point, I think we need to really stop and review. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Haskey, did you have a comment? Mr. Montoya?
I was just gonna kind of piggyback off Mr. So's comments, and I remember that last time we had the conversation about the attendance, and really in retrospect, the number in comparison to those around us or even the state, that when you look at the totality of each building, it's not a huge number, but it still is disconcerting in respects to what we need to do to try to get those kids there and in any way that we can, and to Ms. Aspas's point of certainly making those environments inviting. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yes.
Mr. Desmond, I think you have the next one.
We are here to present the BOY assessment data for fall 2025. This includes the IMASA and AMIRA. The IMASA is the interim measures of student success and achievement in reading, language usage, and math. The AMIRA, formerly iStation, measures and instructs students in foundational skills in reading and math. This is the percentage of each achievement level in reading. So our highest performing grade in reading achievement is fifth and eighth grade with a 17% on target rate. Our lowest performing grade in reading achievement is third grade with an 8% on target rate. Keep in mind, this gives us a baseline to start the year off. Also, this is third grade's first year taking this assessment. And these are all new standards for all of these students.
Question. Are these first graphs intentionally little so the board can't read them?
No, this is how Cognia creates them, but to include all grades, it's on this one slide.
I think we
Is there
could-
any way
I
you
think
could
we
zoom in,
I think we
Jared?
could spare the paper to, I can't see this.
Yeah, this is how they generate the reports. Okay, that helps a little. Thank you.
So
Also-
if third grade is the area that we have challenges in, does that also imply or mean that we need to build up more support for the lower grades, like in second grade and below? Is there something going on in second grade that we're not seeing?
There is other assessments that we do just to not just have one single essentially CFA, right? To progress monitor monthly, like iStation or Amira. But I mean, if you think about this, right, what 8% for that grade level. At this point, teachers are teaching, giving test items that are similar to what they'll see on the middle of year assessment. But also, the thing that's nice about this is in the program, you can click on and identify interventions and provide support for these kids that might be in red, right? So then now we have a baseline of where we're at. The next step is, okay, now we're gonna provide the layer one support, layer one teaching, right? Using the HQIM and making sure we're following the pacing guides that are aligned to the state standards. And then we'll start to see that those screens increase, which has been the trend for the last 3 years.
Next slide will be language usage. So our highest performing grade in language usage is 5th grade with a 21% on target rate. Our lowest performing grade in language usage is 8th grade with a 6% on target rate. Next slide is mathematics. So our highest performing grade in mathematics is 6th grade with a 12% on target rate. Our lowest performing grade in mathematics is 3rd grade with a 0% on target rate. Next slide is our Amira reading, BOY. So this graph will show you grades kindergarten through 6th grade. Keep in mind the red is level 1, the dark green is level 5. Our highest performing grade in Amira reading is 6th grade at level 5 with 16% on target. Our lowest is 1st and 2nd grade at a level 1 of 42%.
So with the information that's provided here, I think going back to what I had asked before, does this give us information that we need to improve the quality of like our, even the pre-K, kindergarten, 1st grade? Because it seems like a lot of that is happening there because as kids progress, then it magnifies as they go to other grades. I mean, is there something as a district that we need to support if that's the case?
Well, remember Ms. Hayes commented that they saw growth. I mean, it looks dismal, right? Because it's, for one, it's the beginning of the year, and like Ms. Conley stated, this is a completely new set of standards.
Okay.
And they've never seen this content. So at the beginning of the year, yes, it's going to look low, but then what's going to happen is now we're going to start teaching students, right? Provide them support. If students aren't growing, then we're going to provide layer 2 interventions, which is small group, maybe a small group instruction. And if we get to layer 3, then we're going to do high dosage tutoring or after school tutoring, right? So then we start providing interventions. So if you heard them presenting their 90-day plans, which all the schools do. In fact, if you look at our data, with the exception of a few schools, we are focusing on providing instruction to all kids, all 4,232, right? Because if you do research, if you have less than 25% of your students that are testing proficient, that they call that a layer 1 issue. So that's where we're at. That's why you heard them, the PED providing dollars to provide interventions and provide support for these kids. That's what we're doing, is providing those. In fact, that's what Title I is for as well, as to provide funding and support to support our students that fall under the Ozzie Martinez umbrella.
So, looking at this, we should take into consideration that this is as they're coming in.
That is correct. It's baseline. It'd be like if you took Mr. Carlson's calculus class, the very beginning of the year. You're taking it, right? You probably won't do very well, but now Mr. Carlson is going to start teaching you, and then you'll start to see growth. So remember, based on the data, so then the progress monitoring, that is something that the schools have to have, because like Gina and Brian here in a couple of weeks, they're going to sit down and meet with the public education department, and they're going to go over all of these pieces of data. And then they have to report back, here's what we're doing, here's where we're at. We notice our second grade isn't doing very well. Now we need to look at, see why second grade isn't improving. But the most important thing is it's baseline progress monitoring. These students will take it again in next month. Now, the data that we had earlier for 3rd through 8th grade for English, language usage, and math, we'll get the data in the middle of the year, probably December through January. So we'll be available to present that in end of January or February. Then we can look to see if we've grown. So, but here's the thing, like with you all asking the schools and us to present this information, whether if it's attendance or student achievement data, there's accountability there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when that happens and these tough questions you all ask us, I go and ask these to principals. Principals then go and ask that to teachers, right? Because one, we're here to support these kids. We're here to provide them the best education possible, right? So, thank you.
Okay, that to me makes better sense, and I can take a deep breath, understanding that this is baseline. This is where we're at right now, and from here, yeah, okay. Thank you.
This baseline data helps us identify the standards, the weaknesses that we're seeing in these students. Then we're able to make a plan to move forward throughout the year.
And more than likely, these kids that are identified, these students that are scoring green on 3rd through 8th or iStation or Amira, those students are probably our gifted kids, right? If you look at the percentages,
those students are probably what?
Gifted.
Oh, all
right.
right.
They read over the summer. They went to that Purdue Academy this summer. They do extra stuff. Some of them were in those ASU digital courses. So then they're actually working on standards that are above them. So those ones are the ones that are probably already proficient.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
We have one more slide.
One more?
Our Amira math.
I hope I can read it. Ah, yes.
Our highest performing math scores in Amira is our 5th grade at 9% at level 5. Our lowest is kindergarten with the 48% at level 1.
Any questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add one more thing?
Certainly.
So I was with the PED last week, and they've noticed, they recognize the amount of growth we've had over the last couple of years. And, they said, whatever you guys are doing, keep doing it.
Keep it up.
Keep it up, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep it up just means maintain, need to improve it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, like how we're doing with like pre-K, kindergarten, 1st grade, even 2nd grade, because it's
You're on, Ms. Theodore.
Next is D, transportation policies and procedures.
And Ms. Chappelle.
By Cindy Theodore and Ms. Chappelle. I see Cindy.
Good evening, board members. Mr. Wells, Mr. So, board member Montoya, and the 2 online, Mr. Carlson. So this was presented about a month or so ago, and I had the Miss Chappelle help me or review with me and made changes to it. So I don't know, do you want me to go through the whole thing again, or just the ones that we changed?
Probably just the ones we made changes to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more like a high-level summary. I don't think we need to go through it verbatim.
Okay.
We've had time to look at it.
Okay. So I think the only one that we really made changes to was the one that talked about, the bringing, objects on the bus, like, skateboards, glass
What number is that, Ms.
items.
Theodore?
Excuse me?
What number item? So some Sharon can get to it.
Let me find it, sorry.
Section 5.
Yes, section 5, under the first one, student regulation.
Yes.
Where it says students are allowed to transport items, including musical instruments. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So students are allowed to transport items, including musical instruments, which can be placed on the student's lap or on the floor, in front of the student. No articles can be placed in the driver's equipment or compartment, and they may not block the aisle. So that was one of them.
So in the previous language, it indicated that the student couldn't place an item that was too big in an empty seat. That language was removed just to make sure that if a kiddo had a tuba or something really big and there was an empty seat, then they could utilize that. So that was done in an effort to address concerns raised last time.
Yeah, for the record, I used to be in band. I played tuba as well. But I don't know how I mean, those things are heavy. I mean, if they can lug it, I guess.
Then the other one that we changed was the discipline as for the accidents, activity bus or vehicle accidents. That was the other one that we changed, which was it's still under section 5. It's number 30. So go back up. Yeah, go down a little bit. Let's see. No, I think it's the first page.
Steve, I can't
Towards the
hear,
first page.
but was there a revision on the large band instruments?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, she mentioned that it's okay to have an instrument, basically.
Okay, and also, what about the transportation of a teen? What are the requirements to an athletic event?
I don't believe that's on here. Oh,
She's not sure what you're referring to. Can you see the sections?
No, I'm asking, is there a section regarding transporting an athletic team, say a basketball team, to an athletic event? Is that included in her policies in the transportation department?
oh, yes. If you go online, our policy procedures manual is online, and I believe it's section 4, which talks about student activities.
Is that not in the revision?
There's nothing in there.
Yeah, board member Asmus, there's no changes to that policy. It's in section 4.
Yeah, so the other one was the accidents. That one, basically, it talks about the discipline and what needs to be done as far as.
There's one that specifically talks about transporting the team, section 4.
Not in the revised one, but in our in our policy procedures manual, yes, we do have a section, which is section 4. And it's called school activity trips regulations.
Did you hear that, board member?
No, I didn't.
So, Cindy Theodore is basically saying that that is in our policy currently and has been in section 4, but is not part of this revisions right now. It's the same policies have just been in place.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to know if there was one already.
Yes.
May I proceed?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So number 30, we talked about the activity bus, if there's an accident that happens, and the protocol, and also the disciplinary action, if there's a disciplinary action to that will take place. So that was all reworded from the previous presentation that was done. So then the ridership rules, those were just, there was just a couple of changes made as far as.
Steve, I have a request.
Go ahead.
Yes.
I'd like to request that section 4 be presented at the regular board meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
We can ask him.
Okay.
All right, so just to help, so this is going to go up for approval at the regular board meeting, correct? Okay, yeah,
It'll be on the consent.
all right, okay.
Okay. So other than that, they're very minor changes. There was just words that were changed. So those were the only other two that were one of the major ones we've had.
Do you mind if I ask a question on that? Board member asked us, the question was asked specifically what in section 4 are you wanting to hear? What questions do you have?
The same question that I've been asking twice about transporting a team to an athletic event.
That's not a. Well, I guess I'm not really sure what you're asking, but as far as transporting a team, are you talking about how we select the drivers to take the team, or the process to get a request for an activity bus to take the team?
No, not in selecting drivers. I want to know what the protocol is, the coaches, the team, when they get on a bus and are getting ready to be transported to their.
Okay, all right, I can explain that to you real quick. Oh, okay.
Well, it's not on the agenda. That's why I'm asking for presentation on regular meeting.
Got you. Okay, we can add it to the regular meeting.
Is that a part of this policy, or is it like an internal protocol that the district has?
The request starts from the school, from the team. It starts from there. think you guys, they will cover it, so, yeah. And then it gets to, when it gets to the transportation part, that's when we do the arrangements for the driver and, you know, get the trip ticket ready and everything that's required to make the trip happen.
Steve, that's all on the agenda. We'll
Thank you.
cover it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any questions?
Okay, but overall, activities are, including the athletics, are covered under section 4, and as it is, there's no changes to that section, correct? Okay. I'm good. I mean, because I think when you get to, you start to get too much bogged down in the details, I mean, that sounds like it's more, that process is up to the schools to handle that, how the athletic teams are.
Yes.
Well, I'm not a school, but I think as a school board member, I can ask and request, and that's what I want. I want a presentation, regular meeting on section 4.
Can that be offline?
We got you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's online. Free.
Stuff bag donation. And Save the Children donation by Dr. Harvey. Are you online, Dr. Harvey?
Hi. Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good evening, board members. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Good evening, board members and superintendents. I'm here to just inform you that we'll be receiving some donations. One is from Save the Children organization in the amount of $44,293 is the estimated amount of books, toys, and clothes. And the second item is for My Stuff Bags Foundation will be sending us 500 duffel bags of various belongings for homeless children, youth, and at-risk students in the amount of $42,500. And that's just to let you know. These will be arriving within the next week to 3 weeks. And that'll be it. That's my report.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Just the 2 reports for the amounts.
Anything from the board?
Just an expression of thank you to the organization that's helping provide the donation to the district.
Did you get that, Dr. Harvey?
Yes, I'll share the note. Thank you.
Pass that on. Okay, thank you. Next, item F, update on regional activity coordinators.
Steve, what kind of coordinators is that Rika?
The regional activity coordinators, which is there's a coordinator at each of the areas that we have. We're going to begin with Chester Atsty here from Shiprock, and then I'm not sure if we're going to do Newcomb or Kirtland, but we each of those regional activity coordinators is going to give a report as to what they've been up to.
Okay, I didn't, I wish that was titled better, you know, concerning athletics. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Board. President Suzette Jean Hosky Oberly, Board Vice President Marion Wells, Board Secretary Matthew So, Board Member Gary Montoya, Board Member Christina Aspis, and Superintendent Steve Carlson. First quarter mid-report here. I'm the Regional Activity Coordinator of Shiprock. My name is Chester Adsity. I do overlook Shiprock High School and Sabatai Middle School. So regional activity summary. This mid-quarter report addresses athletic programs, operational challenges, and board attention. Most notably, the highway construction west of Shiprock High School creates safety and logistical challenges for the cross-country home meet. Next slide. Fall season status. Currently, Sabatai's overall student population, we got 33% student athletes participating, broken down by boys. We got 27% boys alone, and girls currently 43%. Shiprock High School's overall student population is 25% student boys and girls. Boys is currently at 27%, just the boys population, and girls 23%. Shiprock High School, the number of volleyball players currently 34, varsity players 13, JV 9, C team 12 players. Currently, as of yesterday, had a record of 3-2, which is not bad, playing some tough competition. Cross country, 33 runners right now, 16 boys, 16 girls, 17 boys, 7 varsity runners on each, and the rest are JVs. They're doing very well right now, and top female runners and male runner, they have done real well in the past meets. Shiprock placed first at both at the Tohatchi meet. Football players, currently I got a list of 47 members, including 1 female, which are good numbers. Read you the overall volleyball record, 3-2, which is good. Football 0-3, but we have to keep in mind, even with that record, they are getting game experience as they go along and getting ready for district. Cross country, again, top runners, Kaden and Giselle are doing an excellent job, top runners in the Northwest region. Sabatai Middle School, currently have 28 players, 11 varsity, 12 JV, 5 managers, and have played as of yesterday. They are 3-3 and still pretty much in the running for the basin. Cross country, 6 girls, and 12 boys, and they have competed in 2 middle school events and 1 today. Football, 28 boys. They played 2 games and won their first game, I would say, in about 2 or more decades. So that was very exciting to see that one, to witness that one. Next slide. Academic support services, academic improvements, SHS, 18%, volleyball has 18%, boys cross country 12%, girls cross country 31%, football 47%. TBA, volleyball 22%, boys cross country 25%, cross country 100%, so they're not needing any services at this time, and football is at 30%, and these are subject to change weekly. Interventions on top of what the school already has in place for lunch detention, we made it mandatory as well. If they're not going to lunch detention, they'll go to lunch study sessions and work together as a team, helping each other, communicating. The coaches will help as well, and develop their team bonding as well. Next slide. Critical safety concerns, road construction, highway west of Shiprock is an urgent safety issue. Talking to the supervisor, he advised against activities near the site due to presence of heavy equipment, debris, and tight deadlines. Action to be taken as a safety assessment with administration, discuss alternative routes, communication, prep for visiting schools, and exploring alternative host venues if needed. Next slide. Fall finance update, Shiprock High School. In terms of budget, volleyball has the current amount of $18,450, football $10,900, cross country $8,900, boys cross country $8,900, golf $6,200, boys golf $6,200. That's boys and girls golf actually. That should be equal amount. And spent to date for uniforms on a 4-year rotation, volleyball has spent $3,430.89, cross country $1,357, $1,357.83, wrestling $3,852, softball $4,640.68, and projected additional needs. As always, cross country, they always make it to state. And then last year with volleyball doing well, we're projecting them to do well as well in the future too, to make it to the playoffs. Next, Save a Tie. Allocated budget, $3,415 for volleyball, football, $1,483, girls cross country, $500, boys cross country, $500. Again, spent to date based on the 4-year rotation. New uniforms, volleyball, $2,373.30, cross country, $1,181.28, wrestling, $4,468.32. Projected additional needs, Basin volleyball tournament, and the Basin, I have wrestling here, I'm jumping ahead there, only because that's exploding. I'm so excited for the girls program there. Other expenses that we have spent so far is Dragonfly. We have official workers that we pay officials, workers, gate workers, timers, contractors that help with timing as well. We'll pay them out of the Dragonfly. Huddle that we purchased, $12,500. Neptune, $1,620. Desert High equipment, we needed our buggy maintenance, that was $500, and Coaches Clinic over the summer was $2,520. Athletic trainer expenses, he ordered supplies through Medco, $4,691.52, and BSN expense, $476.72. Next slide. Operational and facilities, transportation. All transportation has been secured for fall regular season sports. Facilities, TBA gym facilities, bleachers were broken when pulled out. District maintenance welded it and suggested leaving it out, not pushing and pulling and wearing the bleachers even more. TBA scoreboard, it's 5 years old, relatively new, installed in 2020. On the south end scoreboard, it needs a component. It needs a replacement to communicate electronically or wirelessly, so they'll get it in use and ready for the remainder of the volleyball season if it comes in, and ready for basketball season. Shiprock High School football stadium, we have the wind fence screen, missing a few pieces here and there. Maintenance is looking into it. We do have a broken latch on one gate. Hopefully we can get that at the current, just wires tying it for now. The stadium press box, we have a security press box. We have a contractor looking at them. That won't go up at all. Very difficult. SHS, Another concern is just entering and exit challenges during the AM and PM due to road construction traffic. Equipment. Fall sports equipment inventory. SXX preseason has been accounted for. TBA is currently in progress. Next slide. Regional activity coordinator, myself. Short and long-term planning. Support and communication with student athletes and coaches. And continue welcoming visiting teams and officials. Number 3, developing contingency plan for the winter and sports season. 4, collaborate with TBA, elementaries, and youth coaches to recognize and build athletic program. Next slide. Final slide. In conclusion, the next steps, despite the construction challenges, the commitment to education-based athletic is at the forefront, along with commitment to student athletes to building competitive athletic programs. Any questions?
Question or
I
comment?
have a comment.
Go ahead.
All I ask for the regional directors or coordinators is that, we be fair and mold our athletes to be the best ambassadors of our district. That's all I can ask for. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Montoya?
So I appreciate the fact that you recognize TBA, the elementary schools, and the youth coaches, because those are the feeder programs.
Yes.
And your high school coaches have to develop a relationship with them.
Yes.
They have to, or else those kids and those families are going elsewhere. We've seen it. You know that. Straight up at the Farmington, Aztec, Navajo Prep. So again, it's an imperative that those high school coaches have those relationships with those youth programs. So I know there's families and individuals doing a hell of a job in trying to prepare these kids to be chieftains. They understand the importance of it. So they're investing as much time as they can and resources to do that, because they want to see this community thrive as it once did before, as far as athletics is concerned, and as do I. We've had these conversations with this board about that, and that's important. I know one thing, when I was running the YAFL program, we would invite the YAFL teams to show up to the game as long as they're wearing the jerseys they get in free. So maybe that can be a consideration. But again, it's just an imperative to be able to do that, whether it's volleyball. In my understanding, there's a youth volleyball program now at the elementary schools. There's cross country. I see them running. I know there's YAFL football. So whatever we can do to grow those programs and build those relationships, we need to do that. Support them.
Most definitely. We do have TBA football players come in and work in the chain gang at the football games. Very much appreciated. And we do a recognition at some point in time in the season. We will do one, as we have in the past, with any other sport, and bring them over and recognize them as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atsidi.
Moving on to an update on human resources vacancy listing.
We have 2 other RACs.
It's Kirtland.
Oh,
2
sorry
other
about that.
RACs.
It's all right.
Go ahead.
Good evening, board members.
Steve?
Yes, board member asked.
My battery is about to go out. So, I'm gonna get off right now.
Okay, we'll have your item included on the agenda for next Thursday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aspas.
Have a good evening.
You as well.
All right, go ahead.
All right, good evening, board members, Superintendent Mr. Carlson. My name is Isaiah Valdez. I am the Regional Activities Coordinator for Kirtland, the Kirtland region for Kirtland Central High School and Kirtland Middle School. And I'm excited for this position. I'm 2.5 months in, and it's been fantastic so far. I've worked with a lot of great people thus far, and I'm excited to continue to work with my colleagues. Right now, we have 14 coaches at KMS, 38 coaches at KCHS. Part of my responsibilities is to look over activities. I have 20 sponsors at Kirtland Central High School and 6 sponsors at Kirtland Middle School that I would look over. Those include ROTC, FFA, Science Olympiad, all your essentially extracurricular activities that we provide at our school or after school. I have 3 athletic or financial secretaries that I work with, and 2 event supervisors, one at the middle school and one at Kirtland's or at the high school. 83 total personnel is what we tallied today that I work with and get to collaborate with. That doesn't include Mr. Armenta of operations, Cindy and Talita at the bus barn. That just includes within my region. At our schools, and I do want to add, I work directly with 2 administrators, Ms. Jocelyn and Ms. Lee at Kirtland Middle School, and then Mr. Armenta, Ms. Hurley, and then our principal, Ms. Sandra Westbrook at Kirtland Central High School. Kirtland Central High School, we currently provide 18 sports organizations or programs and 20 clubs / organizations at our school. At the Kirtland Middle School, we provide 8 sports and 6 clubs / organizations. Total, we're looking at 52 activities / athletic organizations within our Kirtland region. You go to the next slide. Thank you. So a big thing about this job description was promotion, and I want to do a really good job of promoting our organizations, our schools, our athletes, but also the activities, correct? And so I've had access to our Facebook page, and we are currently 240% jump in views. And so those charts there indicate within the last 90 days, we've been up 240% with 408, close to 409,000 total views. And we're at a jump of 233% of engagement, a total of 27,000 people that have engaged on our Facebook and social media. What I post on those on our page is obviously, so for example, we had FFA at the county fair and they're at state fair this week. So we promote our programs. Hey, this is what's going on. This is where they're at. As far as athletics, I'll give stories, little brief stories, touch up short paragraphs of what has happened this week. And if you look to the far right of our PowerPoint, the Kirtland athletic events, I make a little flyer brochure that I share among our principals, not only at the high school and middle school, but I also send those out to our elementary schools. So I want to include them. So along with that, we send it out and we post on our social media, and then we also put down our weekly newsy outlet that goes out from the schools. Another promotion of our student athletes was Huddle. So I worked among the other RACs. I called Huddle up and we were able to strike a deal. And so what Huddle's going to provide us is our student athletes, not only just for, let's just say football, because football and basketball were the only 2, at least at Kirtland, that had Huddle. We were able to provide Huddle for all organizations, sports organizations. So now every athlete, we can even say ROTC, cheer, they have the ability to record their practices, record their games, goes into the software, and now they can upload it to universities. So now they're promoting themselves, and now we have the data that we can see, okay, this is what, are they really watching film, or are they not? Along with that package, we have now free live streaming. So along with the deal, we had a indoor gym camera, an outdoor gym camera, and a mobile camera. So as we talk about equity, that mobile camera will be able to travel to baseball games, softball games, soccer games, volleyball games, anything that doesn't have a structure that has the camera that's already provided. The arena gym will have that camera in there, and then we'll have one on the football field. The best thing about it is, along with this program, we're able to now provide a free streaming network for our community so everyone can watch. I understand there's different routes, obviously, well, how are we gonna pay it? That's where our community and business relationships will take over. I'm challenging myself along with our coaches to go out there and build those relationships. Go to the community, go to businesses. What can we do to help, bring attention to our school, positive attention to our school? And so that's a challenge that I've put up among myself, but also to challenge my coaches to ultimately, we're a brand. That's the way I look at it. And so part of that, if our coaches are going to a social event that's school related or training, they're going to wear something that represents the school. As for me, I'm always going to be wearing something that represents Kirtland and my department or my region. So as far as social media, that's really something that we're really pumping out to promote our athletes, our coaches, our department. I'm also implementing Broncos Motivate Broncos. The point of this is to create, again, under our athletic department, coaches are going to go support other coaches. So if we, for example, our girls basketball coach is going to attend a football game, he's going to attend a cross country meet, and he's going to attend a volleyball game. With that, we're going to create what I call Coaches Row. So our coaches will have an opportunity to sit where they're visible, and it's to promote unity. That's the whole point. My vision for the athletic department, along with my administrators, with Ms. Westbrook and Ms. Lee, is to unify everyone, right? The vertical alignment. And so we're really promoting coaches to support other coaches. Once students see that, students are now going to support other students. Now programs are supporting other programs, and now we're creating that school culture and the unification. Another thing that I want to talk about was Broncos Motivates Broncos. We are now implementing a 15 absent policy. So if a student athlete is absent 15 times in one class, he is no longer allowed to participate in sports until the next semester. All the coaches, along with both administrators, came together and we agreed upon this. And so far, we have seen a decrease in absence. So we have a lot of student athletes attending school. And again, students need to realize they're students before athletes. The athletic and activities is a privilege. So that's something that we're really implementing as far as pushing out our Broncos Motivate Broncos. Monthly meetings. So as far as our monthly meetings, we've had 2 so far. We're going to have one every month. That includes all coaches, not just the Kirtland High School. It includes the Kirtland Middle School under one roof, one building, and we're going to go over anything that might be relayed to me. So as far as, let's just say Talita and Cindy say, hey, transportation, there's some issues. That allows them to relay it to me, and I can go to my coaches and say, these are things that we need to address or clean up. That also goes for activities. If there's anything that needs to be relayed, we'll meet together and then we'll have those meetings and discuss those if there's anything that needs to be discussed. And as far as our department vision, our first meeting, our coaches came together and they created a vision statement, and that's building champions through character, commitment, and competition, the Bronco way. So overall, things have been going really well, really great. A lot of buy-in. Again, you guys saw the data as far as promoting our athletes and activities, and I continue to take pride in what I do and continue to represent the Kirtland region, not only for athletics, but activities. If you have any questions, I'm here.
more of a comment. I just really appreciate the fact that the development of the characters in there, because it's not just about the athlete, it's about a decent human being. And the coach is going to set that example. And these kids, I know a lot of them yearn for that. They want that discipline. They want that structure. So I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge it and your coaches do and instill that. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board or questions? Tell me your name again.
Isaiah Valdez.
Mr. Lopez, thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so sorry I'm not there. This is Sean Manlito from Newcomb. We just got done with the volleyball game here, so I'll go ahead and give my little update here. So at Newcomb High School and Newcomb Middle School, I am Sean Manlito. I'm new to Central Consolidated School District. 16 years in education, teacher, coach, athletic director, district assistant athletic director, and I'm also a sports official for 22 years. This is my third week, 2.5 weeks on the job. Started on August 25th, but I hit the floor running. Some of the duties that I oversee at Newcomb Middle School and Newcomb High School is I coordinate and support athletics and extracurricular activities, ensure alignment and activities with CCSD policies and mission statements. Event and program, organize athletic competitions in MAA, manage schedules, linguistics, facility use, and transportation and student activities. I work with both principals at Newcomb High School and Newcomb Middle School, along with our middle school coaches and our high school coaches. Right now, we currently have 23 coaches at the high school and 12 at the mid school. But some of those same coaches are coaching multiple sports just because we're out here in Newcomb, and it's really hard to find coaches, teachers as coaches as well. So it's really hard to find coaches anywhere. So most of our coaches I'm finding out here at Newcomb are the same coaches for fall, winter, and spring sports. Communication, collaboration, serve as a liaison between a district and a New Mexico Activity Association, provide weekly updates and events with games throughout the school, both schools, promote student involvement with newsletters and outreach. Later on in the slide, you'll see what I send out to our schools, middle school, high school, and also to our chapter houses out here. Try to reach out to get to our chapter houses out here. And also within our athletic program, I know this is going on my third week, but I'm really pushing with my coaches to have a community service project to get them known throughout the community. So right now, our girls volleyball at the high school level is doing the Dig Pink for breast cancer awareness, and that's the whole month of October. Our high school cross country team is going to be working with the Four Directions and the elementary, we're hosting the elementary cross country meet here on October 1st with the elementary schools. There our cross country teams are going to be speaking to our young ones, our elementary students, and kind of give them a talk about healthy living, being a student athlete, and kind of preparing them for middle school and high school as they continue to be involved with cross country. So that's the cross country community service. And football, they're going to be reaching out to the elementary to kind of like read to the elementary students during the school day as well. Leadership and support equitable access to student activities, advocate for student engagement and school spirit initiatives, and also data and reporting, tracking student participation using Google Sheets. And every week, this is our second, like I said, this is our second week. So I usually do a star athletes of the week. So this is our star athletes for September 1st through the 6th. They usually have students, the coaches will nominate their own students, and we kind of get the information out through our social media. I also send it to our local chapter houses, and assistant coaches giving them props about what that individual did, whether it be competition, whether it be student leadership in the school, some kind of kudos to nominate the student. So I do across the board, volleyball, boys cross country, girls cross country, football, both at the middle school and high school. And the next slide is my last slide is this is the weekly events that I send out every week. It's emailed to all the staff, updated on our social media. It gets our community engagement. I also send out game days flyers as well to the community on social media, through email, getting the community involved with our sport programs here. So that is my report. Is there any questions?
Thank you for that report. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Just more of a comment to iterate to the coordinators, the importance of the students being ambassadors for the communities. I think that's just absolutely wonderful, and I appreciate Ms. Aspas recognizing that, so thank you.
I'd just like to commend each of you. Glad to have you aboard, and looking forward to a good outcome from our student athletes, and wish you the best.
Yeah, if I could quickly comment as well, I just want to say thank you to all of our regional coordinators for the time and effort that you've put in, because I think this also talks about the bigger picture about trying to make our schools more welcoming, inviting, and trying to bring kids back. Because to me, these programs, whether it's ROTC, cheerleading, basketball, wrestling, they all add a crucial element of why kids should be, why they should be involved in our schools or come to school in that regard. So in that respect, I definitely want to give my full support in that area. Having been to a couple games and stuff like that, I think it's been asked before, but I'm not sure if this is the place to ask, because I might as well just say it. Have you guys even thought about like upgrading our scoreboards to like there's real nice flashy LED video scoreboards? Because I've seen the scoreboards in Shiprock High School, Kirtland, Newcomb, and they're from like 20, 30 years ago. So I don't know if you guys have any price quotes or have thought about that, what that would cost to really add that element to our.
I can't remember the gentleman that came and visit with me earlier. He had a nice screen to go all the way around, displays. And we're looking at about roughly for the football field, $60,000, big screen, just like Farmington's, display all the results for track and football, and inside the pit, all the way around, and the top would run nearly about the same with those LED score lights, big screens. So it would change the atmosphere, but not only that, just the scoreboards alone. I think changing that horn to making it sound like the pit alone, the train horn, will give it that good feeling that these kids are getting ready for a state competition. So I'm for it. We just got to work towards it.
Okay. Sure.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Because you could also tie in like advertising, because I saw you could actually build in a lot of that stuff to even these type of programs too.
So I've been in talk with a lot of my colleagues, other districts. So Bloomfield's getting one. They're getting one in their gymnasium. They obviously have a jumbotron at the football field. the one in the football or the basketball gym, it's going to cost roughly about $65,000. But they've had a deal with a local business that they're on a 3-year deal for $20,000 that they're the main sponsor for their athletic program. So over 3 years, $20,000, it essentially pays itself off, right? And so that's where I think we can go, depending the guidelines, right? What are our policies and procedures of going to a possible major company, corporation, and going and building that relationship and saying, hey, let's make this a deal, whether it's by region or whether it's by CCSD, Unity. I think that's very doable. And I think there are businesses out there that are willing to give back. Essentially, this is the way I look at it, right? Coming from sales and finances myself, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah, they're going to get a tax write-off.
It's a tax write-off. So that's an approach that a lot of times as a coach, right, whenever we'd go get those donations or fundraising, I shouldn't say donations, fundraising forms, banners, you go to them, hey, this is a tax write-off for you. Absolutely. We want to get back to your school. We want to get back to your students. We want to get back to the institution. But at the same time, that it benefits them. So that's an approach that we can look at. Again, tax write-off, major corporation, what we want to do to bring somebody in. Just leave that there.
I think it's worth exploring. Absolutely. Thank you.
I had a beer, but he didn't take.
Anything else from the board?
No.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That would be something.
Yeah.
Update, Human Services by Ms. Amrine.
Good evening, everybody. Hello from Albuquerque. Thank you for saving the best for last. I'm going to give a short presentation on positions and then answer some questions. So here's the current list. We have some social worker positions, one with special education department, one with ICO, still looking for a facilities coordinator. We have the 3 MLSS coaching positions, and then the 3 math coaching positions were just closed today. However, they're on that list, but they're closed as of now. Art teacher, special ed, dual language pre-K, and another dual language all at the elementary level. A cook at Mesa. For maintenance, grounds, and electrician, a couple custodians. We need daycare and a special education EA for our non-certified. Secondary, we have some SPED teachers, so language arts. And then with student support, nurses, SLPs, and physical therapists. So all that being said, what questions do you have?
Any questions, board members?
Yeah, I think pretty much all my questions are answered in prior reports. It shows that when it comes to teaching, we have a lot of, all of our schools are fully staffed with licensed teachers and not long-term subs. So hopefully we'll get some positive feedback based on that. One of the other one, I saw like on the district website, there are a lot of vacancies for athletic coaches. Are those part of the support or are they separate?
They're separate. These are just the full-time positions. We didn't add on. Those are considered like supplemental positions. They're not on this report now.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And also based on that, have we had any like turnover within our teaching staff, like resignations or something of that sort?
A few, but it's really slowed down since the spring. But yes, we've had a few. I don't want to get into too many details. It gets
Okay.
a little too unconfidential if I do, but yes.
Okay, yeah, that's all I wanted to know. Okay.
Mr. Montoya?
I have nothing.
Ms. Haskey? Ms. Amrine, I thank you for that report.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
And we will move on. Discussion items for regular school board meeting. Ms. Aspis has already requested further information for clarification or something on transportation, section 4. Is there anything else, board members?
Yes, I would like to have the consideration of a discussion about school consolidations. Next year is coming up pretty quick, and with right sizing, I think we need to have that very serious conversation about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, especially in light of the student count and the loss of revenue to the school district.
Anything else?
So would that be almost, I guess, would that be our district is it a facility master plan? Which gives like the updated information, statistics, data?
That would be used for that discussion, sure. And
Okay.
along with current enrollment information.
Yeah,
Okay.
because those numbers have changed since we had that discussion 2 years ago.
They've all changed that way.
Yep,
so.
negatively.
Yeah, okay. I think probably like a more detailed like enrollment report probably tied to that as well. What is our current enrollment by school, by grade, by different areas? And would a part of that report also include like the facility condition index or whatever rating they have in terms of what sort of condition those buildings are in?
Overall, yes. Viability, building viability.
Because I think that would also help in provide a more informed decision if, like, let's say you have a school or building that has a huge amount of maintenance costs or deferred maintenance, and the cost of trying to keep it is more expensive than it would be to do something else. Okay, that's it.
President Haskey, do you have something to add? Okay. Item 4, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. Mr. Montoya?
Yes.
Mr. Soul?
Yes.
Ms. Aspis is not with us. Ms.
be tomorrow?
Haskey?
Yes,
And myself, yes.
Vice President Wells,
Yes,
can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Hello? Oh, okay, I didn't realize I was muted for the previous one. I said I wanted an update on the strategic plan for next meeting. Just an update on where it's going.
We've already adjourned.
And yes,
You're too late.
Oh, okay.
We'll make,
I'll email it.
we'll make note of that.
Point of order.
Okay.
This meeting is
All
adjourned.
right. Sounds good. Okay, good night.
Good night.
Drive safe.
Yep, you too.